Everybody, and welcome back to Carlyle Times 2. This is the bigger Carlyle. So, we are in our continuation of our How to Play TCG Pokemon card game live online. And today, we're going to be talking about how to read the cards. Now, the great thing about this, we're going to go ahead and log into our account here. Great thing about reading the cards and learning it here is if you don't know how to read them at all, this will also apply to the regular card game in case you're playing the actual game itself with your cards that you have. So let's start. Now again, to find out what we have, you want to go to your collections. Fastest way to go. So now what we're looking at here is what we have. Now again, previously we showed the difference between, here's what we do own, and if we wanted to see what we don't own, simply click here and this shows us all the cards that we do not have. So we're going to focus on the ones that we do today. Now, if you want to search for a specific type of card, this is where you're going to do it. You can do it by typing, for instance, the different types here. You can do it by stage here. You can do it by attack cost and retreat cost. We're going to talk about all these things as we go. You can also select by the rarity of the card down in here, which you see the promos, rares, things like that. Your common cards. You also have the attributes, which could be, for instance, your GXs, EXs, Prism Stars, Tag Teams, abilities, your Vs, things like that. And then finally, the expansion packs, from what particular card set they came. For instance, if you look over here, you see Sword and Shield Lost Origin, you see the symbol, and we're going to talk about that here shortly. So now, we're going to go ahead and not assign any particular set of criteria, because we just want to learn about reading cards. So, let's go ahead and start with this Alakazam V. Now, as you notice, we're going to start in the upper left. You start and you see the word basic. Now, up here, it's going to tell you at what stage this Pokemon is. And from a battling perspective, this is incredibly important. A basic card is one that you can play into your active spot. You can put it into your hand up to 5 cards or 8, depending on whether you expand it with the stadium. And you can play it immediately. You don't have to evolve it. Now, it does have potential evolutions. For instance, it may have a V-Star or a V-Max, in which it can evolve to. But if, for instance, if this was an Alakazam V-Max, I couldn't play it unless I had the Alakazam V first to evolve it. So this is a basic card. Again, a basic card can be used at any point during the game. Now, as you go across, you see the name of it, Alakazam. Now, in this particular situation, like I said, this is a V card, so it reads Alakazam V. Continuing across, you have HP, which is 190. It's its hit points. And then you see the typing. If you look at it, it's a purple, with an eyeball sort looking in the middle of it. And that is going to be a psychic type. So going down, and don't worry about the arrows and heart and the little scribe type of thing on the very right. That's more for the deck itself and the card itself. So now we're going to go down a bit. Let's go down to the very bottom. Now, as you'll see, down way at the bottom, you see a star and it has the word promo in it. Now, that means it's a promo card, and that, if you see right beside it, you see it SWSH083. That is a particular card number in which this, if you have the actual card itself, a actual physical card, that will correspond with that particular number. So if you have SWSH083, that means you have this exact Alakazam card, and it is a promo card. Okay, so again, that's where that is. It shows what type of deck it is. It's a promo card. It shows what the number is in the deck, and we'll show some different ones as we go through. Now, as you go across, you'll see something that reads V Rule. These will be different for different types of Pokemon, for V and non-type Vs and things like that. So what it reads is when your Pokemon V is knocked out, your opponent takes 2 cards. So that's the rule. So absent some type of trainer or supporter card that blocks you from being able to take those prize cards, if you knock this card out when you are in play, your active card knocks it out, you get to take 2 prize cards. And again, of course, the ultimate goal to take 6 cards first. So that's the V rule box. And again, sometimes they do not have a rule box, and we're going to go through a couple different ones. Now, if you go slightly up, again, up to the left, you see weaknesses, and you see a little kind of a blackish, darkish symbol there times 2. That means its weakness is 2 times the dark. So if you have a dark type attacker on the other side, you're going to be weak to it. So, in a situation like this, if you're facing a dark deck, you're probably going to want to have some kind of tool card attached to this that, doesn't have any weaknesses, so that you don't carry that weakness when you play it. And then it'll just be a normal type of attack. It also resists fighting. If you go over just a little more to your right, it reads resistance. It has a little fighting symbol, -30. So if you have a fighting attack and it normally does 70 damage, if they attack you, it's going to be 70 -30. Now, going over a little more, you see a retreat cost. Now, in that situation, it reads, or it shows you 1 circle with the star in it, which means that if you retreat and you don't have anything else that allows you, any kind of stadium card or other card that allows you to retreat without losing any energy, for you to pull that back, you're going to lose 1 energy. You're going to discard it, most likely to your discard pile. So again, if you have 2 psychic energy cards on here and you need to pull it back and you want to retreat it and put another Pokemon in its place, and you're using the retreat step, then you're going to go down to 1 energy card. Now, going up a little ways, and like I said, we're going to see these with different cards so you can get the gist of the different ones. Now, the next part is what's very important as well. So here you'll see one of the psychic energies, and if you read it, it reads Zen Spoon. And this is a particular type of attack. And then sometimes they're attacks, sometimes they do healing, they do different things, and it may or may not do damage to your opposing Pokemon. But it has some purpose. Sometimes you may be drawing cards, sometimes you may be healing, so again, there's a whole assortment of things it may be. But in this particular one with Alakazam V, if I were to use this attack, I have one psychic energy. Once I use that attack, I put 3 damage counters on your opponent's Pokemon in any way you like. Now, if you notice, it says your opponent's Pokemon. So that means that, let's say the Pokemon the opponent has 3 Pokemon on its bench and 1 active. That means I have 4 to choose from in which to apply 3 different damage counters. So 10 damage each. So I may want to put it on 3. I may want to put it on 1. Let's say 1 has 70 HP and it's got 50 HP of damage. Maybe I want to go ahead and knock that one out so I can gain a prize card. Maybe that's all I need to win. So again, that's the attack. Now, in order for me to use Mind Ruler, I have to have 2 psychic specific energies attached. It can't be psychic plus a fighting, psychic plus an electric. It has to be 2 psychics to do this attack. And as you read it, Mind Ruler does 30 times. Now, if you have a multiplier or you have 30 times, 30 plus, things like that, that means that it's going to potentially do more damage than just the 30. Now, for Mind Ruler, this attack does 30 damage for each card in your opponent's hand. That's not what's on their bench, but let's say they have 10 cards, then I would multiply that times 30, which means it does 300 damage. Okay, so that's kind of the basics. That's the Alakazam. So let's find one that's not quite, it's not a V card, and maybe let's see if we can pull up a different type. So here's another basic card. Let's go with Oshawott. So as you see, again, up at the top, upper left, it's a basic. The name of the Pokemon is Oshawott. It's got 70 HP, and it's a water type. That's the water symbol. If you go down to the bottom, it's also a promo card. The designated number is SWSH-H22. And if you look up, weaknesses are electric. So if an electric type is on the other side, it does 2 times damage. And it doesn't have any resistance. It also has a retreat cost of 1 energy. Now, as you go up, this has, in order to attack, you see it's a beat and does 10 damage, but you have to have any kind of energy. So if you have a white energy with a black star in the middle, you can place any type of energy on that and it will apply to it. So now let's go out of here and let's do a filter search. Let's go and let's say we want to pick something from the recent Pokemon Go, and let's pick a Stage 1 Pokemon. So here we go. Let me try this again. Make sure I've cleared out all my searches. I've got them in promo cards right now. Here we go. So let's start with Ambipom, because this has a lot going on. So Stage 1 Ambipom. Now, this one has a few more things to add to it. So as you see, we'll start up in the upper left again. We have a stage 1. Ambipom is the name of this particular Pokemon. Now, as you see immediately below that, you see another Pokemon, and it's not Ambipom. What it actually tells you is that it evolves from Apom. So in order to be able to play this card, you have to have an Apom first in play and then draw this card or have some kind of evolution type of card. So in order to get Ambipom, you need to have an Apom. So that tells you that, so you know that when you build your team, build your deck, if you're going to want to play an Ambipom, you have to have Apom as well. Now you go across to the right, you've got 90 HP, and you see it's again that circle, that white circle with the black star, which means it's a normal type of Pokemon, which means it can use any kind of energy. And what's kind of cool about that is that if you're running a different type of deck, say you want to run a water deck or an electric deck or steel deck, and you only want to run those types of energies, you don't want to run the risk of running multiple types of Pokemon with different types of energies, this is the perfect kind of stand-in, because this can use any type of energy. So going down, let's go down to the very bottom left, and you see that little symbol in the lower left, and it's a little Go. It looks like two little circles, but it reads G-O. That's from Pokemon Go set, and this came out this year in 2022. If you collect the actual physical cards, this comes from the Pokemon Go expansion set. Now, if you look over a little more, you see it is number 57 of 78 in that card set. So again, if you have this card, you'll know that there are 78 cards, at least regular cards, in that deck, and this is number 57, which you may have. Now, moving up. We've talked about abilities before, and this particular Pokemon has an ability, and it reads Primate Dexterity. If you read it, it reads, if any damage is done to this Pokemon by attacks, flip a coin. If heads, prevent that damage. So, let's say it's in the active spot, and the other Pokemon attacks. What happens is, before anything happens, before the attack happens, you flip a coin, or the computer will flip it for you, and if you get heads, there's no damage done. Now, of course, if it is tails, then you will take whatever the damage is. Now, going down a little further, you see it's also one particular energy card, Full Tilt Fling, which is 60 times. And as we talked about before, if you have a times or a plus, it's a multiplier. So in this situation, flip a coin for each energy attached to this Pokemon. This attack does 60 damage for each heads. Now, in this situation, it only requires one energy card. But that doesn't mean you are restricted to only putting one on here. So let's say you built this up and it has 3 energy cards attached to it. So what will happen when it comes to your turn and you do your attack, you're going to flip a coin for each of those energies attached. So that means if you have 3 energies attached, you have 3 flips. So you may get 3 heads, you may get 3 tails, you may get some combination thereof. For each head, you do 60 damage. So if you have 3 different energy on here, or 3 energy, you have the potential to do 180 damage to the other Pokemon, which is really good. Now, going down a little, you see the weakness here. So if you have a fighting type on the other side, it does 2 times damage. So as you know, most normal types do take damage or extra damage from fighting types. And it doesn't have any resistance, and it has 1 energy to retreat. So if you have 3 energy on it and you want to retreat, you will lose 1 energy using the retreat. Now, looking down at the bottom, you see in the rule box, it uses its tails for everything. If it wraps both of its tails around you and gives you a squeeze, that's proof that it really likes you. So in this situation, it's not a rule applying to the play, but gives you a little information about Ambipom. So now, let's go to one more, because I think that should give us a good idea. Let's go with Slowbro. Now, in this situation, you have, again, a stage 1. Now, you look at the top, stage 1 means it evolves, so it evolves from Slowpoke, and you see that immediately under Slowbro. You go across the right, it has 120 HP, it is a water type. Now, if you go down to the very bottom, you see in the lower left, that's the Pokemon Go symbol, and this card is number 20 of 78. So if you are collecting that deck, or that particular set, the Pokemon Go set, this is the number 20 card, and you might have it. Now, going across, a little fun thing about Slowpoke. Slowpoke became Slowbro when a shelter bit it on the tail. Sweet flavors seeping from the tail make the shielder feel as though its life is a dream. And if you've watched the Pokemon episodes, it's really kind of cute when you see Slowbro and when they do bite into the tail. So it is kind of comical, kind of fun. Anyway, so as you move up, you'll see the weaknesses are 2, and of course most people should know, at least if you play any kind of competitive, whether it's Pokemon Go or Pokemon cards, that most water has a weakness to electricity. In this particular situation, it is no difference. There's not difference. Now there are some times where you may have a groundwaters, let's say a Swampert, which doesn't have that electric damage or that extra weakness. But in this case, Slowbro is a pure water form, so it does have the electric weakness. And in this situation, no resistances. And in order to retreat it, you are required to forfeit 3 energy cards. Now, if you look at the attacks, you have Tumbling Tackle, which requires 1 energy card. And in this situation, does 20 damage, and both active Pokemon are now asleep. And that can be kind of a bugaboo when you're playing, but it can also be a saving grace if you have, let's say, a card that allows you to switch out your active Pokemon with one on your bench. The second one requires, if you see 2 different circles with the stars in there, which means it requires 2 energies, is Twilight Inspiration. And in this particular one, you can use this attack only if your opponent has exactly 1 prize card remaining. And if it does, take 2 prize cards. Now, this can be good and bad. So, if, for instance, your opponent has 1 card, then this is great. You take 2 prize cards, you're going to win automatically, right? And, so that's kind of an automatic win. But if they have more than 2 prize cards remaining, then this is not going to do anything. And so now you have potentially, forfeited a move. But again, in this situation, as you learn to play, you probably, if you were going to continue using this one, would have used Tumbling Tackle until you get down to 1 prize card remaining. And that's part of the strategy, which we'll talk about later. So anyway, this is kind of an introduction to how to read the cards, and this applies to both the physical card game and the online card game. So hopefully you've learned a little today. If you have any questions or have any comments, please do share in the comments below. And as always, make sure if you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit that notification so you know when we post our videos. And finally, make sure you leave a comment, and we will talk to you soon. Have a fantastic day, and peace out.